Let's continue with politics. The battle of thrones continues in the city of Johannesburg's council. Mpho Phalatse is the mayor again following a court ruling that her ousting was unlawful and unconstitutional. Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's not bothered about criticism by his predecessors. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Magwenya says Ramaphosa inherited a corrupt government, which he's done his utmost best to turn around. Well, let's discuss this further with political analyst Dr Levy Ndou, who joins us now virtually. Mr. Ndou, thank you very much for your time. Do you think that Mpho Phalatse's return as mayor will be short-lived, because the ANC has indicated that it will try to remove her again? And of course, we saw that there are those even in her coalition who went against her the last time.
Good morning to you. Good morning to the viewers at home. I think it will actually depend on the environment at the council. What we have actually observed is that Dr. Phalatse has won the legal battle at the court. What is left for her is to go back to the council and actually execute her responsibilities. But we should have expectations. One of the expectations would be that the DA and Mpho Phalatse should have worked the ground very well, so that when she gets back to work, everything is normal and she gets all the support. Or she might actually go back to a very hostile environment. It was not a smooth sailing as she was removed, and her coming back might also signal some hostility and non-cooperation. And that will therefore require that she should actually be psychologically prepared and politically prepared to deal with the known opponents that she's going to face at council. Also, anything is possible with coalitions. That as they vowed earlier on that they might also come with a motion of no confidence, she might actually stay for a very short period of time. And one would say that nothing is guaranteed when it comes to the mayorship of Johannesburg now.
Yeah, but also, Mr. Ndou, I mean, we've heard them numerous times on this channel, different political parties in the Johannesburg, City of Johannesburg Council, you know, with Action SA, or the DA rather, saying that some of their opponents or their coalition partners were offered something better by the ANC. So, I mean, no day is the same in politics. You could find that Mpho Phalatse and the Democratic Alliance are now negotiating with those who went against her, and then we might be surprised.
It is about how you manage coalitions and how you absorb the pressure from your coalition partners. There is indeed a tendency by coalition partners to expect some favors after they've put you in office.
I think that's been
There
quite
is also
clear.
a tendency. There is also a tendency by some coalition partners to make unrealistic demands to those that are in power. So whatever has to happen, Mpho Phalatse should be prepared for anything. If it's something that compromises their principles, compromises how they have to run government, obviously they might not accede to those demands, and the possibilities that the coalition run by the DA will still have to collapse.
And of course, we've seen that it's all about positions. I mean, let's move to Ekurhuleni, for instance, where the mayor, Tanya Campbell, actually removed two Patriotic Alliance council members or councillors in that particular city. And that's why she's finding herself where she is today, where she really does need a good relationship with Action SA, which doesn't have a good relationship, it seems, with the DA in general.
Of course, if you have to stay longer in a mayoral position in these metros, you should be able to juggle around and ensure that whoever partners that you have are always satisfied. But equally, you also need to be constantly stretching your hands towards other political parties, so that in whatever you come up with, they will always be in support. But we already knew that at some time or at some point, a motion of no confidence is going to be raised against the mayor of Ekurhuleni. In the May, motions of no confidence in South Africa appears to be abused in order to remove individuals from office. It is no longer about the validity or good reasons for a motion of no confidence. It is about occupying positions of power and be in control of these councils. And this is not going to be the last in Ekurhuleni. There's a possibility that we're still going to see more of these motions being proposed on mayors where they're actually running through coalitions.
All right, just lastly, my question will be around the presidency's, the president's spokesperson, rather, Vincent Magwenya, and his address to the media yesterday. First of all, I think the one most important thing is him taking responsibility for the fact that the media is now being seen as the mouthpiece of the president, because every time he wants to address the nation, he doesn't call a press briefing. He just invites us to just connect to some type of software or connection, and we take him live. No questions, no time to be able to engage him or challenge him in some of the things that he's saying. And Magwenya basically taking responsibility for that after the president has been promising for a long time that he'll have one of those press briefings so that we as journalists can ask the questions that the public want answers to.
Of course, there are a lot of questions that journalists would love to answer. And as promised earlier by the presidency, that there's going to be constant engagement between the president and journalists is something that has to come in. And of course, I think on representing ordinary citizens, you need constant engagements between the president and journalists so that South Africans are actually put on par on what is actually happening in society or in the leadership of the state. But my appreciation is that they've actually acceded or accepted the fact that they should have actually done more to ensure that there's constant engagement between the presidency and the public in general. And the press briefing yesterday for me, I saw it as, to a certain extent, as a response by the presidency to what the other former presidents had actually said over the weekend.
Yeah, I think we did see that, because not so long after he greeted the journalists who were there, he got into that very topic. He didn't waste time in responding to, what the former presidents had said about President Cyril Ramaphosa. But also, it's the fact that, we are unable to, or rather they are unable to take it, that even though you say that the current president, inherited an already ailing state, you cannot take away from the fact that he served as deputy president during the time that there was corruption that was investigated by the Zondo Commission. That is a fact.
Well, that is a fact, and we need to look at it also very cautiously, in the sense that there is a view out there that seeks to suggest that there were formal meetings in which corruption activities were done, and there were minutes written, and everybody who was in government was involved or invited in those meetings. There is also a view that seeks to say that there was a clique, a closed clique, wherein certain things will be discussed, isolating other people, and they'll always be taken by surprise. But what we need from our leaders is to say, I have also heard about corrupt activities. I was entirely not part of these corrupt activities, and if I have to change things, I must actually do things better. Equally, you need leaders who are directly involved in corrupt activities to come out and say, indeed, I was part of this corrupt network. I am sorry. I'm able to change and start doing things differently. But overall, South Africa has a huge crisis of corruption, and we need men and women who must stand up and fight against this corruption and ensure that the money that is being wasted in the hands of corrupt individuals has to go in the hands of ordinary and poor citizens.
I'm sorry, Mr. Ndou, I really don't see the day that we see a politician who was involved in corruption coming out to apologize to South Africans and accepting their responsibility. I just want to quickly go back to the Democratic Alliance and the fact that they are seeing a breakdown in their coalitions and Gauteng metros. Just lastly, Mr. Ndou, do you think that the Democratic Alliance's Federal Council probably needs to re-evaluate how they look at coalitions? I mean, they signed coalition agreements, but it doesn't look like it's working. I mean, they're being called arrogant, left, right and center.
My view is that we are on a learning curve.
Okay.
The Democratic Alliance has been running some of the coalitions for some time, and some have actually collapsed. And I think as a political party, public representatives, they need to constantly evaluate their standing in these coalitions and do what is best for them and also do what is best for the citizens. Yeah. But equally, the Democratic Alliance has entered into a contract with the voters. They've made commitments during the local government elections that party A, B, C, and C, they might cooperate with them. Other parties, they will cooperate, might not cooperate with them. So they have that arrangement that they made with the voters, but they still have to go out to the people and say, we are in a situation where anything is possible. We've reviewed our stance. We are now prepared to work with other political parties, either on our terms or on a compromise. As long as they want to be in power, they should negotiate their way into power. They must be able to compromise, but in the main, ordinary citizens must be the beneficiaries of whatever decision that is.